Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at one of my all-time favourite bands, Carcass. Now, I've been a fan of Carcass for many years. I had all their albums at one point, which I unfortunately had to sell when I was made homeless, but I've acquired their whole catalogue again. You know, we've got Surgical Steel there and all special editions of their previous albums there. I absolutely love this band. And today they just released a new EP called Despicable. They've been rolling out tracks from this since December last year, I think, when they released Under the Scalpel Blade. And today they released the single Slaughtered in Soho on the same day they're releasing this EP. So if anybody's interested in that EP, I'll put links to it below where you can buy it or stream it or what have you. But, you know, I absolutely love this band. Brilliant band. They're actually the inspiration behind my vocal performance in my first band, Repulsive Vision. You know, I was very inspired by Jeff Walker's vocal performance, and I basically tried to copy that style when I was in Repulsive Vision. And of course, Carcass were one of the many inspirations that Repulsive Vision came from. Now, if anybody doesn't know anything about Carcass, they are an English extreme metal band from Liverpool and was formed in 1986. So they've been around for quite some time. I mean, they formed when I was 6 years old. The band's gone through several lineup changes over the years, but Bill Steer and bassist Jeff Walker, also vocalist, are the only two constant members. And Bill Steer himself is from... he was in Napalm Death. I don't know whether he still is, but they are the two only constant members. They broke up in 1996, but then later reformed in 2007, unfortunately without its original drummer Ken Owen, who unfortunately suffered a brain hemorrhage in 1999 and was in a coma for 10 weeks. He's slowly getting back into playing drums, but unfortunately he is at present unable to play along with Carcass for any extended amount of time, so they had to bring in a different drummer. Also, former member Michael Amott, who is from Arch Enemy and married to Angela Gossow, I believe. To date, the band have released 6 studio albums, as you saw before when I showed you my little collection there. 2 compilation albums, 4 EPs, 2 demo albums, 1 video album, and 6 music videos. Although that's possibly more now. Carcass are regarded as the pioneers of the gore grind genre of music. Their early work was also tagged as splatter death metal and hardcore, on account of their morbid lyrics and their somewhat gruesome album artwork, although I'm pretty sure it's only the first album that really had pretty good... I think the second album might have, but it was later changed. The fourth album, Heartwork, a fantastic album cover art done by the legendary H.R. Geiger, which was released in 1993, is considered a landmark in melodic death metal genre. Now, as I said, this is off the new EP, Despicable, which is released today. I believe these are B-sides and spare tracks left over from Surgical Steel. I could be wrong. But anyway, little point of note as well, Jeff Walker and Bill Steer also appeared in episode 5 of series 3 of Red Dwarf, which was Time Slides. They appeared as the band Smeg and the Heads, where Rimmer so memorably did the track Om. I believe it was Bill Steer on the drums and Jeff Walker was on the guitar. But anyway, I've been waffling on now for 4 minutes, so we'll jump into this track. Unfortunately, there are no lyrics available for it, but, you know, it's not always necessary, so we'll jump into the track and see what we've got. So, this is Slaughtered in Soho by Carcass.
Exercising demons. like a shall imbibe the leather apron rules. Divine the truth, plus paradigm.
There we go. Slaughtered in Soho by Carcass. And, you know, another fantastic track by the band. They very rarely release anything that I haven't enjoyed. The sound of that track is sort of kind of reminiscent of probably the Swan Song era. You know, that was sort of just as the band had split up. They actually split up just before Swan Song was released, I believe. And that had a very similar sort of vibe to it, but even from the very opening, it was definitively Carcass. They have that very specific guitar sound, which I've never heard anywhere else, and it just sounds fantastic. You know, I've loved everything they've released to date, and you know their sound has changed quite a lot over the years. When you hear the first album, and then listen to the likes of Surgical Steel and the like, you know, there's a vast difference in style, but they've always remained consistent. They've always been great. They've always had fantastic sound. Jeff Walker has always had amazing vocal performances, although his vocal performance in the earlier albums was slightly different. But, I mean, even now, you know, this band formed in 1986, and still now, Jeff Walker has an amazing sounding vocal performance, and like I said, that's the vocal performance that I tried to emulate when I was in Repulsive Vision. In fact, one of the greatest compliments I ever got, I did a gig in Barrow in Furnace, and after we finished the gig, some guy walked up to me and said to me, "You sound just like Jeff Walker," and that was the biggest compliment I've ever received in my life, and that made me happy for days. You know, fantastic band. It is unfortunate that I didn't have any lyrics available for it, but you know, sometimes that's just what happens, and there's not really much I can do. But a lot of their vocal, lyrical themes revolve around like medical procedures, and you know, so quite often also animal rights, you know, and cruelty to animals, because I believe both Jeff Walker and Bill Steer are or were vegetarians. I know Bill Steer used to be a vegan, and Jeff Walker used to sort of sabotage like fox hunts and things like that, which is something that I think is absolutely great, because it's just needlessly cruel and pointless. You know, but as always, this is a band I have been a huge fan of for many years, and I absolutely loved that track. I can maybe see why it wasn't on Surgical Steel, if these are indeed tracks that were cut from that album. I mean, it doesn't quite fit into the sound of that album, if you get what I mean. You know, Surgical Steel itself was pretty fast, pretty hard, pretty heavy. That's a sort of more slow and more melodic track, like I said, sounds more sort of akin to the Swan Song era of their music, so I can kind of see why that was maybe cut, but it's still a very good track. Absolutely loved it, and I'm going to be getting my hands on that Despicable EP pretty damn quickly to add it to my collection. But, you know, unfortunately, like I said, I haven't got lyrics, so I can't really deeply analyse what the song itself was about, but still a great piece of music from a band that I have been a huge fan of for many years, from as far back as I can remember. I think I was maybe 11 or 12 when I first heard their music from Headbangers Ball on MTV, back when MTV used to actually play music. Believe that or not, it did actually happen. But yeah, fantastic. Really liked it. Great. But like I said, there's not really much else I can say on that track for the time being, so I'll leave that as it is. Now, if anybody likes to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would be of a great help to me. There is an option on Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There is a slight limitation on how often you can use that, however, since, you know, just to be fair to other people who suggest tracks through like Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube comments. And if you do suggest track through those regular means, know that it might take me a while to get to your suggestion, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that I can't record the videos fast enough. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it will get done eventually. It's just going to take me a while to get around to it, I'm afraid. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes. Mainly those aimed at people of the alternative culture, but essentially they want to put an end to all hate crimes. And it's something I can get behind. It's something I believe in very strongly. It's something I'm very passionate about, because on the side of people of the alternative community, this is something that's not getting spoken about nearly enough. You know, every day, all around the world, people from the alternative community are getting violently attacked just purely for the fact that they are members of the alternative community, for the fact that they listen to alternative music or wear alternative fashion. And it happens all the time. It's been going on for decades, and it's widely ignored, and that's something that needs to be fixed. That's something that needs to be changed. Because every single day we hear about all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, etc. You know, we hear these every single day in all media platforms. From like the most heinous and violent of these crimes, where someone is murdered because of the colour of their skin, because of their sexual orientation, or because of their religion, down to the most pathetic of these crimes, where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public area. You know, we hear every facet of these all the time, but we never hear anything about these people that are getting violently attacked and brutally beaten just because of their taste in music or clothing. You know, the last time we heard anything widespread about this was 13 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked and brutally beaten so severely that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive. He was in a coma for around about a week, maybe a bit longer. I can't remember exactly how long, but he did thankfully survive. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and was beaten to death just because of her taste in music and clothing. And this happened 13 years ago. That's the last time we heard anything really about it. But I guarantee you, in fact, I know for a fact, that since that happened, there have been hundreds, if not thousands more cases of similar attacks on people of the alternative community, but we've never heard a thing about it. Like 2 years ago, a young woman in Glasgow was violently attacked twice by the same group of people. She was running a charity gig in a venue, and at one point had to go back to her apartment, which was a 5-minute walk away from the venue that she was hosting at. And in that 5-minute time frame, she was attacked twice by the same group of people. And the only thing that put a stop to it was a passing taxi driver. At which point, this group of people scattered. Now, the taxi driver, he didn't even stop to check if she was okay. He just carried on his merry way after they dispersed. You know, but where was that in the news? Why didn't we hear all about that? You know, this young woman could have easily have gone the same way as Sophie Lancaster. You know, she was beaten, punched, kicked, knocked to the ground and pummeled more. She could have easily have been killed in exactly the same way as Sophie Lancaster, but this wasn't all over the news. Why not? Because she didn't die. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before this subject gets spoken about. We shouldn't have to wait for what happened to Sophie Lancaster to happen again before this subject gets spoken about. It's not good enough. You know, we can't allow this sort of thing to carry on. Something needs to be done. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more awareness to the fact that these things are happening. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks because of the small-minded actions of a group of ignorant people who can't handle the fact that not everybody is the same. Not everybody has the same ideals. Not everybody has the same opinions. You know, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And they most certainly do not need or deserve to be attacked for the fact that they are different than you. It's unacceptable that this sort of thing carries on and is getting ignored. Something needs to be done. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it's a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, or maybe even that one, you know, they've got a whole bunch of other stuff going on, but you know, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we bring more attention to the fact that these things are happening, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.